Kraven's Last Hunt might just be comics' greatest character study. It's famous for taking a mediocre Spider-Man villain and turning him into a layered character with some of the most iconic art of all time. Almost 4 decades later, Kraven's Last Hunt is still on top of so many best of lists, recommendations, and is probably the most single requested movie adaptation. Why? I want to examine this classic character of Kraven in full and analyze what the Last Hunt does that is so timeless. Let's get to the main show, shall we? First scene of a story is supposed to set up what the story is and give the viewer an idea of what they're in for. What is the first thing that this book shows us? We get to see Kraven thinking about being an animal and being a man. He thinks about how the world has gone wrong and everything sucks these days. To him, the hunter persona is an escape from this world. He thinks about his dying spirit, which as a kid I honestly thought was like a condition like cancer or something. No, dying spirit is just depression. This is a very sad image of Kraven, a sad lonely man trapped in his own mansion. And it gets worse. Kraven comes from an aristocratic family, meaning Kravenovs used to be fundamentally better than everybody else around them. They didn't need to work because they were taken care of, even if it cost other people. Then Russia had some revolutions happen and the Russian nobility was exiled. Kravenovs went from infinitely rich, superior blue bloods to a life of poverty in a strange country, disgraced. This led to Kraven's mother developing a dying spirit and she gives herself the last hunt. Losing his parental figure weighs on Kraven heavy. He resents the world and no longer sees the point of it, but before going off, he will go on one last fantasy. Kraven takes down Spider-Man, buries him alive, and becomes the new Spider-Man in order to prove he is superior. The first scene is incredible, but there's more to it than you realize if you don't know Kraven's full story. So how do we get here? How does Kraven become this? I read 300 issues of Spider-Man leading up to this, so I might as well use that knowledge so I can feel like I spent my precious time on this earth well. So let's try to understand Kraven's character in full and examine his history before the Last Hunt as well, so we can get a fuller picture of what Last Hunt is really doing here. Kraven was one of the first Spider-Man villains to ever exist. He's an OG. Ditko's art is good here, but it can be a little sloppy with his storytelling. As Amazing Spider-Man goes on, Ditko begins to figure out the character more. He gets comfortable with the book, his art gets better, his writing gets better. Kraven was part of this moment. He came about when Ditko started to get Spider-Man just right, and looking at the first 15 issues, Kraven is absolutely a great villain. I personally would even call his first appearance a standout issue. You can make fun of the comic book, I mean, just look at this guy, ugh. But you'd miss on how much of an impression Kraven makes here. Now to be clear, I wasn't around in the 60s, so I don't know, maybe everyone hated the character, like I don't know, but I can only offer my thoughts, even though nobody asked for it. Early Kraven is simple. The entire Ditko run is simple, but try to ignore the decades worth of advancement that came later, and compare Ditko to the comics that came before. That's when you'll start to see what I'm talking about, that's where the greatness lies. Kraven was created during the Silver Age, which was defined by censorship. There's few rules that are relevant to Kraven, 2 of which are bad guys must be defeated by the end, and the other one, which shocked me the first time I heard it, bad guys must never be too sympathetic. These villains aren't allowed to be too complex thanks to censors. Thanks censors, ruining good storytelling since the 60s. Ditko worked with these rules by putting the focus on Spider-Man. Yes, Kraven doesn't have much depth. We don't know why he named himself a coward, we don't know why he's the hunter, he doesn't really have much going on for him. He takes on Spider-Man because his friend asked him to, which is really nice. Kraven is a proven ride or die, and I love that little character piece. He might go a little insane by the end, but he was a good friend. What makes Kraven work is that he pushes Spider-Man in an interesting way. Kraven the Hunter's thing is in fact hunting. We watch him prepare for the hunt. Kraven's kinda weak here, he's just a regular dude, so in order to not get thrown through a wall in 2 seconds, he studies Spider-Man. Kraven drinks potions like a witcher, giving him a super strength before a fight. Kraven has a thing for honor, so he refuses to just shoot Spider-Man because that's too easy, so he instead uses his bare hands to lure Spider-Man into traps. He disarms Spider-Man with these handcuffs that lock onto Spider-Man's limbs. Guns are dishonorable, but this is not. Like, come on Kraven, you're a cheater. Kraven is intelligent, and watching him prey on Spider-Man is the special ingredient in Papa Ditko's story. I'm gonna be a little anecdotal and say I've seen people talk trash about early Kraven stories. The most common phrase I've seen is something along the lines of Kraven only has one good story. This is just not true, I refuse this. You can take all this for granted, but it wasn't a thing until it was a thing. And the first time you see something like this, it's gonna stun. The first appearance is a good superhero story, and I'm tired of people slandering this goofball. Respect him. So that's a little bit of context for Kraven, how he starts out. A simple but effective supervillain who pushes Spider-Man to play it smart. This next part will be relevant to the last hunt, so I want you to pay attention to this part. So, Kraven's goal is that he wants to be the greatest hunter or something. He's driven by ego, he's super good at what he does, and he can kind of back up his dog until Spider-Man beats him. He travels across the world just to whoop someone because his friend asked him to. After his first defeat, now it becomes personal. Kraven wants to write this stain on his name, and he tries again. He loses, he tries again, he loses. He goes after Norman Osborn. It's a whole thing. And Spider-Man swoops in and just stops Kraven. Kraven tries again, and each time he's a little angrier and less composed because he keeps on losing. During Conaway's run, Kraven hypnotizes the Gibbon to attack Spider-Man. He's fallen low enough that now he's resorting to using others to do his dirty work. He turns Gibbon into an assassin. And this Gibbon story is genuinely a good story. And it has one of the hardest images of Kraven in existence. Look at that magnificent boy. After that, we get to the weak Kraven stories. These must be the bad ones because I know you ain't talking about Ditko Spider-Man. These stories try to switch it up. Here, Kraven actually gives up on hunting Spider-Man because he knows he's grown obsessed. He's using dishonorable ways to hunt. He's losing his honor. He uses these nipple lasers throughout these stories. Whatever waits at the end of this path, he doesn't want to find out. Calypso, another villain, instigates Kraven. She tells him he's a coward, she ghosts him, telling him he's been beaten. He cannot get Spider-Man. Kraven's ego cannot take this. In his short-sightedness, he gives in and goes after Spider-Man. He loses, again. Then the final story happens in Spectacular Spider-Man, where Kraven wants to 1v1 Spider-Man. And man, this guy can't take a hint. Calypso secretly poisons Spider-Man because she knows Kraven can't do it legit. Like, that's just kinda sad. Now even his girlfriend is like, you can't do it, bro. Kraven realizes what she's doing and breaks up with her because of her dishonor. He even saves Spider-Man in this story because the victory isn't honorable enough to satisfy him. These stories try harder to make Kraven interesting, but they end up being worse stories for that. The stories aren't advanced enough to make these an interesting character study, so the stories end up becoming a little too shallow. Why does he want to hunt? Like, what's the hunter deal? Like, why? Why does he care about honor in the first place? The story doesn't dig deep enough. The original stories, like, they're just very simple, and that's what makes him work so well. Not every villain needs to be super in-depth. Not every story needs to explore these depths. It's not bad. None of these stories are really bad. They're actually all pretty solid for the most part. Kraven's ego is his driving force, but he's not insane here or anything. Kraven's sane enough to recognize what his obsession is doing to him, but like an addict, he just can't let it go. He keeps falling downwards because of this ego. He's dragged down on this downward spiral. And now we arrive to the last hunt. What Last Hunt really does, it takes all of this and brings it to the forefront. That last bit of sanity Kraven had is now gone. He has reached the end of the path he was so afraid of. We get this new unhinged Kraven. And with that, we get a completely new kind of story. One that breaks all the rules of a Kraven story and makes him a second protagonist. His first story, he just wants to help a friend out. I can't get over how much I love this point. It's so good. Then it becomes about reclaiming his honor. And then you open Last Hunt and you are met with this. It's a shocking image. One image and you know how far we've fallen. The big twist of Last Hunt is that the revelations on Kraven's deeper motivations. He's not a hunter anymore. He's a sad hunter now. Kraven's ego comes from few things. He's literally a noble, so he fundamentally believes he's a better human being than everybody else, because that's how caste systems work. Hunting is Kraven's way of taking back control of his life. It makes him feel like life makes sense. There are rules, there's honor. Ego is the hunter. When Spider-Man defeats Kraven, Spider-Man essentially is reminding him he's not in control. Thus, Kraven becomes obsessed because he needs to believe he has power, that they won't just come cast him out and hurt his family again. His honor is passed down from his father. His father couldn't let go of the old world, so Kraven picked up on that and now holds on to this old-fashioned honor code as a way to make sense of the world and as a way to stay true to his parent. He's latching on to something that just doesn't exist anymore, and maybe never did. Kraven believes Spider-Man is a manifestation of this greater evil that once destroyed his family. That's why he can't let it go. Why doesn't Kraven go to therapy? Is he stupid? You know what's the best part about the characterization here? Kraven's character doesn't change. This doesn't undo any of the previous stories. He's still motivated by honor. He's still all about his ego, but now we get the motivations for the motivations. Last Hunt goes a layer deeper, and that's where you find the true depth of the character. An underrated element of Kraven's motivations is that they're also very unique. Like, most characters can be boiled down to childhood tragedy or something, but Kraven's such a unique way of doing it. It's tied to real events, of course, which is just fascinating, but it's like also, I don't think I've ever seen another character be motivated by Russian revolutions. That's such a specific thing, and I think that's also what helps Kraven really stand out. There is just something here that you just can't find anywhere else. It would have been very easy to just say his daddy was a cruel man, but they go a step further and give him a motivations too, which is, you know, like giving his parents also that depth that is tied to something real. It's just, ooh, it makes it all so much more tangible. And I think that really helps to push Kraven's character to the next level, even beyond other great characters. Every single addition is the perfect choice, fully based on who he already was. Last Hunt never cheats by just making him a completely different character. The story fully acknowledges Kraven's delusions, which makes him more interesting and honestly, unhinged. An unhinged Kraven is far more intimidating than the regular Kraven. He used to be a regular supervillain, but here there's an element of horror to the character. Like, look at his crazy eyes, his obsessed ramblings, these violent scenes of him eating spiders. Oh, there's a lot of these claustrophobic scenes going on. It's unnerving. Even Spider-Man moves more like a spider here. It's such a different look from every other Spider-Man book. Every previous story looked like a regular superhero comic, 80% of the time a Johnny Romita Sr. comic specifically. Last Hunt completely breaks that with an extremely strong atmosphere. This story takes time to set the mood. What I really love about the slow pace is these little character beats. Peter sees a spider on the wall. He goes to smack it, but then doesn't. You know, because he's kind, even to a little creature like a spider. This is immediately followed up by Kraven debarring a bunch of spiders in a violent rage. Kraven used to care for animals in a weird way. He hunted them, but he didn't seem to kill them. He hunted them just to prove he can. It's really odd, it's kind of a macho thing, but there's an issue where some animals escape from a zoo, it's a whole thing. And Kraven captured these animals so they can be brought back safe. He protected the animal. Now he is doing this. Not that those are probably not real spiders, but it's still like, I don't know, it's a different vibe. This hunting is more violent. It's disturbing. The horror is a unique take on Spider-Man's story, and that allows Kraven's Last Hunt to ascend from depths of mediocrity to the status of all-time great, because we don't get a lot of stories like this. So that's the two new big things Last Hunt brings to the table. It immediately gives you a deeper look into Kraven's character and a completely new visual style. Last Hunt isn't the first Dark Spider-Man comic. Death of Gene the Wolf is the first one to go down to this level. But Last Hunt might be the second one, and seriously, if you like Kraven's Last Hunt, go read Death of Gene the Wolf. It's really good and it's in the same spirit. You'll love it. Before I get into Kraven's Last Hunt in more detail, I want to give a quick context for this run. Without over-explaining it, this story takes place literally a month after Peter and MJ got married. Like, literally, she accepted his proposal last issue. Ned Leeds died off about 4 issues earlier. This is why Ned's still fresh in Peter's mind. It might be a little weird for a modern reader, as Ned hasn't been relevant since then, but it was big for Peter at the time. Peter's long struggle with his anger, but he recently got over that. The Falco's run was really about Peter accepting himself as Spider-Man. He finds a healthy boundary between his two lives, which then leads to this story with a more mature and composed Peter. It's a recent lesson he had to learn. Kraven is a villain who didn't learn that lesson, which makes Last Hunt the perfect follow-up to the previous run. This story is often read in a vacuum, which is fine, but it also works perfectly as a sequel to the previous run. Okay, so that's why Kraven's Last Hunt, I believe, made an impact, but you know, at the end of the day, this is a story. You gotta be more than just switch up for the style. So now I want to move on to probably the only part that really matters in this book, and that is the story. What is the point of Kraven's Last Hunt? I think this is where you find the real reason why this story is special, because it just touches a lot of people. It says something real. I think that's where you find the true special nature of the story. Kraven's dying spirit monologue is contrasted with our first Spider-Man scene, where on the other hand, he narrates about how he separates Spider-Man from Peter Parker. He's just Peter Parker. Spider-Man is more like a job, a responsibility he holds, but he's still Peter Parker despite the mask. Spider-Man visits a criminal's funeral because he does care about the world, even the bad parts. Peter Parker lost his parents, he lost his uncle, he lost Captain Stacy and Gwen, Jean, Ned. bunch of people have betrayed him. And there was that one time where a literal god came down to Earth to mess with Peter. Specifically, Peter comes from broke conditions, where he had to get jobs as teenagers just to support Aunt May. Peter missed out on life because he was too busy getting his face smashed in. He's hated by the world, and you know what? He still cares about this complete nobody criminal. Peter Parker can go round for round, trauma for trauma. Everything that defeated Kraven, Peter has overcome. Once Kraven does take over as Spider-Man, Kraven doesn't find peace. He's still a man under the mask, no matter how hard he tries not to. He tries to be the Spider, but he always returns to, I am Kraven. He can't escape the man. As a reader, Peter's presence can be kind of comforting in this story. I don't know if it's just my slightly too intense love for the character, but I felt elation whenever Peter popped back up. With each Kraven scene, I just wanted to be done with it, because the man makes things kind of uncomfortable. Kraven jumps this guy, and it just feels dirty. I don't want to look at this. He takes off his clothes, and it's just like, yeah, like, dude, put that stuff back on. Like, no. Dude, you gotta ask permission first. Like, what the fuck? There's a lot of escapism in this story. Kraven is escaping his dying spirit to his sons. Vermin is running from the world. MJ is trying to distract herself from worry. Peter wants to escape to death's peace and quiet. Everyone's struggling with something, but only one of these people does whatever this is. The big metaphor the story uses is the Spyder. So, what is the Spyder anyway? I'm reading the Spyder in few ways. I think there's a parallel to the Hunter. Spyder is the myth, Hunter is the myth. They're ideas of Kraven and Spider-Man's idyllic selves. The twist is, there is no Hunter, there is no Spyder. There's only Kraven the man and Peter Parker man. Peter is just a regular dude. He accepts this and becomes stronger for it, while Kraven never really understands this and can never truly accept his humanity, because accepting he's a man means accepting his crippling pain he feels every waking moment. He chooses to live in the fantasy, which is easier to him, which ultimately consumes him. He no longer lives in reality, and this is the root of his delusions. More on that in a moment. Spider-Man gets buried, and okay, what's the deal with this scene? It plays into these ideas. It's all very odd, but basically Peter convinces himself he's the Spider. Here referring to the idea of Spider-Man. He's perfect, never afraid, strong, and gets one-shotted. Good going there, Spider-Man. The mythical Spider can win, because Spider is not real. He climbs out of his grave as the man. This is what the rebirth signifies. By admitting the truth he's afraid, he can only then conquer his fears and become strong enough to survive. Kraven could never. Another meaning is through Kraven's lenses. He says that the Spider has taken many forms of world leaders before. Kraven ranted about Russia and America being corrupt, so the Spider can be taken as this metaphorical idea of evil. Everything Kraven despises about modern world. Corruption, dishonor, peasant rights, all the unthinkable evils. And since Spider-Man defeated Kraven, just like the revolutionaries did to his family, Spider-Man gets to be the avatar of these evils, which is why Kraven tries so hard to defend Spider-Man. By defeating Spider-Man, Kraven can pretend he's taken back control of his life. He's avenging his parents in a weird way. He's afraid of meaningless of the world, so he gives himself meaning in the hunt. For some reason, this requires taking off his clothes. Stop doing that! The point is, it's essentially the first rant personified with a spider. Spiders are normally considered to be scary things. We associate them with horror. That's probably why Spider-Man was chosen here. Kraven is afraid. He even says he's afraid. He is afraid they'll come for him again. He's afraid of losing control. Fear is such a crucial element in Kraven's character. This element makes his name, Kraven, ironic, as Kraven means coward, which is just perfect here. And to return to earlier in the video, Kraven wasn't like this before. This talk about the Spider wasn't his original motivation. It developed over time as he sunk deeper into madness. That devolution is really the Last Hunt's genius, taking Kraven's obsession to its end. It's perfect. Worth noting is that there's two Spiders probably in this story. Kraven talks about Spider as in Spider-Man and the Spider with a capitalized the. One is Spider-Man, the other one is the metaphor. To return to that point about Kraven's delusions, Kraven's insanity is more than anything denial. He refuses to confront the generational trauma forwarded from his parents. His mom's dying spirit affected Kraven. His father's frustrations became Kraven's. One of the most revealing moments is this one where Kraven basically admits he resents his father. It seems that his father might have taken frustrations out on Kraven in some way, whether it was physical, verbal, or just apathy, I don't know. But Kraven resents his father, and then he just goes into full-on denial. This is Kraven. One of the funniest pages is this one, where Kraven is rambling about how Spider-Man can take his rage out on criminals. He can fight and chew up as much as he wants, but Kraven is no longer in his power, and that must scare Spider-Man and makes him sad. Then Kraven just touches Spider-Man and we get one of the funniest panels of all time. It's hilarious, because not a single word of here is true. Spider-Man isn't gonna take his rage out on others. If Spider-Man wanted, he could mess up Kraven, so he's still in his power. Kraven thinks Spider-Man is scared of Kraven, but no? Spider-Man's just mad, and the sadness Spider-Man might feel is more like pity towards Vermin. Does my affection embarrass you? No, Kraven, you're just weird. I'm no psychologist, but I'm gonna guess the entire page is all projection. Kraven wants to regain a sense of power through violence. Kraven is the one who's sad and scared because he can no longer hide behind his obsession. Spider-Man gets buried alive. That's way worse than Kraven's defeats. And you know what's the first thing that happens after? Spider-Man comes across these two henchmen, and of course he wants to tear them apart. He's feeling a little angry, a little vengeful, but he chooses not to get back at them. Peter embraces the man. He chooses kindness and love and mercy. That's what gives the suit its power. The man makes the suit, you know? Kraven is actively trying to get away from the man. He wants to be the costume, and when he looks at Spider-Man, it's all he can see. He lives in that fantasy world of costumes. Spider-Man shows compassion to Vermin when he puts out the torch. Kraven just mocks this. Now we get to maybe the most revealing part of Kraven. The first Vermin fight with Spider-Man. Spider-Man defeats Vermin, but stops. Spider-Man wins, and you get this panel of Kraven looking like this. He's not happy. Vermin then takes this chance to jump on Spider-Man, and, you know, now Vermin wins. Still, we get this other shot of Kraven. Still unhappy. Is he unhappy? Is he even really here? Because he's thinking about his mother in this scene, so, you know, his mind might be a little bit elsewhere. Because this thing, again, it's really about his parents, even more so about his mom. Is the facade breaking here? Does he really see Spider-Man winning and maybe rethink what he's doing? After this, he stops Vermin and lets him go. Kraven helps Spider-Man get back up and then thinks, good man, I think. How strange that I haven't been able to see that till now. I do see, and seeing Spider-Man, I thank you. And there's one final thing I see. Something I don't think I was capable of seeing till now. Every man has his spider. Then he proclaims he's retired and will never hunt again. Then he goes and hits his famous 180 no-scope. I wonder if this was the plan all along? Probably to a degree, but there is a possibility that Kraven realized he's wrong at the end. He recognizes Peter's compassion out of nowhere. Did he realize he messed up, destroying his entire world of lies? So, time to go. I believe he retreats back into denial. He basically has a last monologue where he says he's not happy. This didn't satisfy him. Like, he says he has found something, but he ultimately says that maybe next life, maybe there is a hidden piece somewhere nearby. He didn't really accomplish anything. All of this was for nothing. There is a common thing with people who are depressed and decide to go through with something like that, that they become actually happier towards the end. And this is not true happiness. This is just when they make that decision, nothing really matters anymore to them because, you know, it's about to come to an end. It's false happiness, a delusion. It's really eerie to see. It's just like, I'm not even reading into it, right? It's just reading. It's just like emotionally affecting me. It's just like, that's really harrowing. He has more of these moments of, I don't know, clarity, moments where he just looks empty. Like when he buries Spider-Man, he at first looks sad before turning into an evil laugh. Before hunting Spider-Man, he straight up cries. I think this is the real face of Kraven, and the maniacal parts are just the facade of the hunter. A facade that is consuming him. Like there's this literal scene, like this scene where he talks about the spider, like this is him descending into this madness. It consumes him. But even in his greatest illusions, there are these moments where you see the truth, the real him. I think these reveal that he doesn't really care about Spider-Man. It's a lie he keeps telling himself, but when he wins, he doesn't smile or rejoice. Just looks as empty as he did in the beginning. Can we take a moment to appreciate the art and the colors and the inks? It's all so strong creatively. This is some of my favorite Spider-Man art. Like this looks like nothing like Spider-Man comic books before this. Like this is what a normal Spider-Man comic book looks like. And here's this book. There's the rain, which is always present, always knocking, and you can't ever escape the thunder and whatnot. To me adds to that oppressive feeling. If you really want to dig deep into it, Kraven can't escape his thoughts, his real feelings, and the reader is constantly being reminded of the storm, which could be akin to Kraven's internal storm that he's going through. Once Kraven exits the book, the storm disappears. The final issue has no rain nor thunder. During his final moments, Kraven wonders if he can find happiness in the rain. Peace, calm, happiness, and ending. The storm is directly tied to his depression here. The thunder is intense during the Vermin and Spider-Man fight where, like I said, he looks empty. During his final moments, the thunder intensifies, happens about 3 or 4 times in a row, as his emotions also climax. That might be a bit much, but it is there, and it's fun to read into this stuff. This story relies heavily on the visuals, so one of my favorite aspects of it is the colors, because Peter has these lighter colors, this yellowish hue to him. I might be reading too much into it, but I believe that shows that there's a light to him. But Kraven's scenes have a reddish hue. It looks unnatural, unnerving. Like if the first time you pick up Kraven's Last Hunt, you probably had the same reaction I had when you open up that sucker and just see that first couple of pages and it's just reddish, this weird red color on everything. It's just unnerving and wrong feeling. To me, signifies Kraven's insanity, is this descent into purgatory. In the first scene, it begins with Kraven being imbued with the redness of his insanity, but when he walks out to be the man, the colors switch to melancholy blue, similar to the rain. This is, I believe, 2 halves of Kraven, crazy and sad. When Kraven beats up these thugs with MJ, there's a reddish hue to the rain, a lot of these scenes, in fact, with the black costume Kraven. That is kind of showing it's like the truth coming out of him. It's a little wrong. Then Kraven defeats Vermin and he climbs out of the sewer into the night and in the rain, and he claims he's triumphant. In the final issue, Peter does the same thing, descends into the sewers, and then he rises to the top. Triumphant, and it is signified by the yellow sun. It's daytime and it looks much more pleasant. The smoothest transition happens in the issue 1, where there's this swinging scene where the first half of these panels are in yellow hue, while the second half, where Kraven takes over the narration, it turns into reds. I love these trippy scenes where Kraven's reality kind of is crushed. He's breaking these mirrors that are kind of, I believe, metaphors for him destroying his sanity, refusing to look at himself. Out of the shattered walls of his sanity comes the spider, the metaphor for all his fears. He's eaten by this massive spider, literally devoured by his fears. Incredible looking book, which is such a simple thing, but that is a big reason I believe why this is just successful. It is worth noting that I am analyzing the digital version, which most of us probably read. It is a recolor. They've altered the colors. I don't really know what the originals look like, but just keep in mind this all applies to a specific version, which you can find on Kindle and Marvel Unlimited. Even the narration boxes sometimes get wonky with Kraven gets more insane. Every single aspect of this book is absolutely perfect. It's a masterwork of visuals. The ending to Kraven's Last Hunt might be the most interesting part of this equation. This is where it all comes together. The final issue is all about Peter Parker and what makes him a hero. He's afraid. He's panicking, and yet he pushes through the fear. He gets angry and lashes out at Vermin. But then comes the important part where he chooses to get his anger under control. He doesn't project Kraven's actions onto Vermin like Kraven did with his trauma in Spider-Man. He doesn't obsess over hurting Vermin back. He does what he does because Vermin is a danger to others, and Vermin himself is a victim in all this. Despite everything getting buried alive, he still chooses to empathize. Kraven chose to blame Spider-Man for the Russian Revolution that happened like half a century ago, and that's really the biggest difference between the two. It's a choice to keep going. Taking the pain and turning it into something good is a choice. Peter chose to be better. Kraven decided to play Hunter, and in Last Hunt, and even the stories that came before, it was always Kraven who chose to fight. It's just Kraven. The final scene is Kraven's burial, and there's a little rhyme that goes with it. Spider, spider, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? It's a play on a poem, The Tiger by William Blake. It's a bit longer. Here is the full version if you want to read the original. The point, as I understand it in the original, is that whatever god or circumstance created the tiger also created the lamb, the prey, and the predator. Basically, it's as the poem is asking why. Is it a joke or is there a greater point? Why would you do that? Is everything meaningless? Why is it a tiger with a Y? I don't know, man. Maybe to draw attention to the word tiger so you really think about it. Like, I don't know. I really don't. Who knows with these poets? In Kraven's Last Hunt, we get only a single verse. Poems aren't something I'm very good at. I recognize the words, but something about poems makes them kind of blurry. So I don't want to waste too much time on it, but this stuff is fun, so I'm gonna try anyway. The poem appears few times, at the very end and at the beginning. The narration boxes are all color-coded, so you always know who's talking. Yellow is for Peter, pink for MJ, and orange is for Kraven. The implication seems to be Kraven thinks of this poem. Coupled with the question, who made you, bro? I believe that this is Kraven wondering what the higher power made the Spyder. Both what made Spider-Man and what made the evils that ruined his family. If I dare take it as far as possible, this poem is Kraven's entire character summed up in a slightly pretentious way. He's still that child wondering what happened to his family. You could replace the poem with, why God, why? It's really the same thing. I think the final appearance of the poem is simply the writer DeMatteis asking you to ponder what made these people who they are. The choices Spider-Man and Kraven made. The choices they could have made. They have gone through quite similar events in their lives. You could say they are symmetrical. There is one more piece to the characters. There are many shots of Kraven hanging out in his mansion, all alone. He has henchmen, but we never get to see him interact with them. There's no Calypso, there is no one. He used to ride or die for a Camellia Pro, but now he's all alone. In his madness, he's probably driven everyone away. When Peter is stuck in the cabin, he wants to give up. He's willing to just lay down and accept his fate until he's given a reason not to. He's motivated by his love for his wife, MJ. Oh boy, you thought I wasn't gonna talk about MJ. Never. Think again. MJ is the reason why Peter has the strength to be who he is. I think Kraven's Last Hunt, despite all the darkness, it might just be a story about the power of love. My favorite page of the comic is Kraven's final moment. The final image of Kraven is a picture of him as a child, stained in red blood. That's the final image of Kraven we're left with. And this is the real truth of Sergei Kravinov. He's the same hurt child he was so long ago, hidden under the delusion of the hunter.